It's hard to understand the way that you went out. I bet you're living with a little hint of doubt. Maybe next time when you gotta show your hand, you won't cut and run, you'll finally make a stand. 'Cause I know it's true, I'm finally getting to you. We're not through. Yeah, I know it's true, I'm finally getting to you. Existential questions always get you down. All you want to know is are we lost or found? Is there something that you feel you need to chase? I bet you thought you put me in my place. 'Cause I know it's true, I'm finally getting to you. We're not through. I know it's true, I'm finally getting to you. Yeah, I know it's true, I'm finally getting to you. We're not through. Yeah, I know it's true, I'm finally getting to you. You can run, you can hide, but inside, I'm finally getting to you. Yes, it's true. I still love you, but I am getting to you.
Stand by to initiate release sequencer. On my mark.
We're on express elevator to hell. Going down.
2, 1. Mark.
What a fucking way to come into this show. Welcome back to the Resupply with me, Guy Next Door.
Me, DK.
And me, Than.
Bring you your...
Only you guys knew what we were talking about right before the show started.
No, well, nobody heard it, but like, it got me in a frame of mind. We're bringing you your weekly double tap of all things
Blimey.
Space Marines and Laser Force.
which is just even funnier considering the conversation right before. Yeah, okay. Yep.
These guys, I'll tell
Sorry.
you what.
Cliff notes
Unprofessional.
are Than's a switch, and we're getting married so that I can get New Zealand residency. There, you're all caught up.
Oh,
Yeah, okay.
spoiler alert. It's more rushed than the last episode of Rings of Power. Hello, everyone.
Nice callback.
Yeah. Hello to
Boy,
you
that
guys.
was a hip fucking reference.
Hello
That was
Twitch.
such a hip fucking reference.
Nice to see you guys. Titch, hopefully you're good. You learned a new penguin fact. I can't wait for you to lay that on us. How we doing, fellas? How you guys doing? There's no spoiler there? No, there's no spoiler there.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm good. Got my tracking information for my new computer today.
Ooh.
So I'm very excited to have that show up. Although it's looking like that's going to be by Thursday I should have a new computer, which is very exciting. So yeah.
Cat.
And I have and I have
And there is Cat.
There's Kit.
Very
look at
nicely
this
waited
Kit.
until the show started to make an appearance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, you
yeah.
guys are talking now. Perfect. I'll come. Hang out.
Got to give the people what they want.
Secret to making money on the internet. Get a cat. Man, I can not really move my neck.
You're back?
Yeah. My yeah, other thing in Dan's cat. So just wonderful factoid of the day. Did you know that the emperor penguin can dive up to 500 meters and stay under for up to 27 minutes? Who timed that? I don't like. Who was someone sitting with a stopwatch? I'm sure if they're trained, they'd be able to do better.
Yeah, quit spreading your propaganda from Big Penguin.
You paid this factoid was paid for by Big Arctic. Yeah, I man, old man back is kicked in, and I could barely move. But on the plus side, we're doing a show today. I wasn't initially gonna do a show. I was gonna ditch you guys and go play some frisbee golf instead. But you know, that's fallen through. So you get me, suckers.
Steve's losses, your content.
Yeah, lucky you. What have you guys been up to? It's been when did we do this last? A couple weeks ago. We were off last week because of Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to you both.
Cheers.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Couple extra kgs added, you know, as you do.
Yeah.
As you can see, it has gotten slightly colder, California way. Not that cold,
Not
but
that cold.
still, today was a bit of an adventure on the bike because we had rain yesterday. There was water that came out of the sky. It was the craziest fucking thing. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this before.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me more about this water that comes from the sky. You know, for the
very
person
unusual.
who lives in Portland right now.
It's very unusual for these parts.
Really? I
but
thought,
I remember those Portland winters well.
I thought Northern California got a bit of rain. Not so much.
Way northern California.
Oh, where are
but
you?
Not the valley.
Are you Middle California?
I mean, yeah, like
Quasi.
what people call NorCal is actually a pretty big chunk of the state.
Yeah.
Because basically LA people are snobs and they're like, anything north of Los Angeles isn't SoCal. Blah, blah, blah. And so, yeah, but like the whole Sacramento Valley and Central Valley essentially is pretty dry.
Yeah.
Most of the year. I think Sacramento actually was rated as like having one of the highest number of sunshine days of like any major U.S. city.
Ooh.
So yeah, we don't get
major maybe pushing it for.
We
for
have an
Sacramento.
international airport and a professional sports franchise. I feel like that's better than a lot of cities.
That's pretty
An
major.
international airport that flies to like Mexico and Canada.
Are those other nations or not?
I mean, yes, they are, but still.
Yeah, he moves to fucking Portland and gets all, snobby and shit.
He's getting the hipster mentality already.
Yeah. Wait,
I got the beanie and everything.
Yeah, I
man.
can't wait till your goatee
But-
comes in and fucking soul patch. Or the Sacramento hat. I know, Slam, man. Like, he forgets his roots. Bloody roots.
Yeah.
No, I'm yes. I acknowledge my roots.
What are you?
Sacramento's a fucking terrible place.
Yes.
That's a fucking terrible place.
But that roots.
But point of the story being,
Yeah.
we actually got rain yesterday, so it's
Ooh.
still a bit colder today, and it was a bit wet out. So I hop on the bike, stuff like that, and it's about I don't know, maybe it was like 46 this morning, so about 7-8 degrees. I want to say that is
Ooh,
for
chilly.
people not using Fahrenheit. So on the chillier side, not
Closer to
freezing
9,
by any
but
stretch of
yeah.
the imagination, but
Yeah.
a little colder. Gets the nose running, fingertips feel a little numb, stuff like that.
Mhm.
But I'm going down the bike trail and run over a wet patch of leaves, and
Oh, no.
some water comes up the back of my tire, creates this like coin-sized drop that just goes right on the top of my ass crack, and just chills me down to the bone. And then I'm like realizing, getting off of the next stop, that there's also a little bit of mud that is basically kind of spurted up in a pattern
Yeah.
off the back. So it looks like I'm essentially a toddler that is fully shit up the back of their pants. And I'm like, well, let's see. But hardly the only one on the bike trail after a rainy day to have that kind of pattern. But as you do, but it was still good. Get the blood moving, feeling better. So
get
you
to
go.
the end of the trail
That's my
and
story.
hang out with all your poopy pals, standing around like a creche. Yeah, cool. Outdoors, that sounds nice. Um, Famously, all three of us are quite outdoorsy. Actually, DK is pretty outdoorsy. Than,
I'm pretty outdoorsy too, so
of course you are.
that was part of the reason for the move. So yeah.
I
So
don't
you're
like.
the only one like stay indoors, you nerd.
I don't know what Oregon's done to you, you smug jerk. um,
He's gonna have artisanal coffees that are just like parading through the background. Next thing you know,
No, that's definitely not a thing for sure.
no. Outdoorsy laser tag players. Yeah, it's. Oh, actually, that reminds me. So, we are obviously in the process of trying to lock down some dates for internationals next year. I have reached out to Auckland management and am currently waiting on a final verdict. So I'll chase them up this week. Hopefully, we'll have an answer by the end of this coming week. And then people can start booking tickets. It is likely going to be the last week of July next year. So plan for that.
week of July being the 24th to the 28th, or the week starting July 31st and running to the start of August.
The last full week, I think. I'll double check. I've
Okay.
put it to them, and they're gonna choose. Basically, I gave them two options. They're gonna choose one.
All right.
I've also
Wait,
asked them
but
to come
still,
up with costs.
End
and
of
stuff.
July or early August.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind.
For those of you who are traveling, want to see a bit of the country, there's a bunch of stuff that you can look to do while you're here, especially that time of year. That time of year, there's winter for us, obviously. And there are some very nice spots of our country that are worth visiting in the winter months. Specifically Queenstown.
Pretty much all of it.
Yeah, it's maybe not all
Really
of it.
all of it.
Yeah, Auckland's a little shit in
Most of it.
in winter, but anywhere in the South Island is pretty magical. So, I highly recommend people check out Queenstown. But one thing I do want to do, if people are up for it, I know there's a decent contingent in our community that play a little bit of disc golf. I'm gonna try and organize some sort of mini disc golf tournament for people that are keen, like maybe the weekend before the laser tag tournament. So I think that'll be a bunch of fun.
I will play disc golf badly with you.
Have you ever played before?
Yeah,
Yeah, right. It's fun.
like once or twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, my uncle got pretty into it, so
Yeah. It's a weird anecdote. I don't know why. It's not that weird. It's quite good. But it's blowing up. If you haven't played
yes, my relatives play disc golf is a weird anecdote for you.
For me, yeah. Somewhere around here, if I could see it, if I could move properly, there's a hat that says Cuzzies on it. Where's your putter? Oh, fuck! Alright, I'll send it to you this week, I promise. I'll send it this week. I'll send it on Monday. Right.
You're gonna have to keep after him, Ducky. That's just how that's gonna go.
Yeah. There's been some stuff happening in my life that's keep me a little distracted. But I will send it out on Monday for you, I promise. This is a guarantee. Right.
This is the Steve-O guarantee that it's going to happen on Monday. Or maybe
not
Tuesday.
legal hunting in the Southern Hemisphere.
No, that guy's word ain't worth shit. Right. Hob Hole. Too small to be mentioned. Man, if you guys are coming down here next year, I highly recommend going to Hobbiton. It's fucking awesome. So I reckon we could do like a group excursion down there at some point. Anywho, there's not a whole lot of non-Laser Force shenanigans that I have going on. Actually, one more thing. Friends of the show, our boys from the band These Four Wolves dropped a single last week. Maybe come and get it. That's the idea. These Four Wolves dropped a new single last week called Marigold. If you haven't heard this song, ooh boy, start watching us. Leave here, go away from here, go watch their new music video, or listen to the track.
I approve this entire message, but it is a good song.
It's very, very good. Check it out. Highly worth your time. It's really, really good. Right. What are you? What's new with you guys? What are you? Do you want to talk about anything, or should we just get into talking about Laser Force content? Being a Laser Force podcast.
Well, I already told you about my wet butt bike story.
Ah,
So what
you
else
did.
do you want from me?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I've got my computer on the way, which is cool, and a girlfriend that got COVID for the first time
Hashtag
after
humble
dodging
brag.
it for
Wah, wah.
for the entirety of the time, and then got it
Well,
this
that you
last
know of
week.
anyway.
Okay, yeah.
I'm
So
always
I
wondering
could
how many people actually had asymptomatic cases that they just never had any inkling of.
Well, okay, that is a totally fair statement as far as that goes. But this would be the first confirmed case. How's that? After dodging it for the entirety of time, although she was nowhere near as smug about it as certain other people on the show were. So
But she
one
shouldn't
of those
because she
things.
tested, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, as opposed to this person on the show who didn't test but is 100% certain that that's what knocked me down at the beginning of the year. Yeah, so
Yeah.
fuck off.
Oh,
Where's the
interesting.
smuggler like, I should have gone to the hospital.
Yeah, I should have gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Ducky, 29 months. Thank you so much, brother. That's very, very nice of you.
That
What
is
a nice-
that is ridiculous.
Ooh.
That is so amazing.
Yeah, it's so possible. Kings are good again. Sports get me down at the moment. Sports are very much getting me down. Stupid Patriots being all shit. They're the worst in their division. Ugh.
It's the day I've always dreamed of.
No, I don't want. I don't want to talk about it. Let's talk about some Laser Force stuff. What Laser Force stuff you want to talk about? My neck is killing me.
Okay, so it might be a quicker show than usual, but as the title of the show hopefully alludes to, hopefully people got the reference, because I know people get the reference. Steve, don't say they didn't get the reference. We're gonna be talking about nukes, because that's the only way to be sure. You got to take off and nuke that site from orbit.
Yeah.
So I got the idea for the show as we were talking about in the chat during the last streamed tournament, or really both tournaments, since covering both Auckland Triple Threat and the St. George Invitational event. Everybody in chat being like, need a nuke. Why aren't they nuking? You got to nuke now. Well, yeah, it's easy to all of you guys who are watching the screen and can see that the other person has 6 lives. I don't have any fucking idea what's going on when in the maze. But thought, well, maybe there is a way that people should know more about when they should nuke in game. Maybe when chat is screaming constantly that people aren't nuking at the right times, maybe there's something to that. So we thought we'd just unpack the topic as fully as possible while Steve still has use of various parts of his body.
Barely.
And
This is taking every ounce of my neck to be able to dance like this, and now I'm afraid to stop. Hoodlum, 29 months. Thank you as well, brother.
Just keep dancing. Don't go away.
Let's just keep dancing.
Ducks and hoodie with both with 29. That's still
They're better than me.
They are. That's accurate on so many levels. But it just blows my mind that that means we've been doing this for 29 months because they were day one subs, if I remember correctly, as far as the affiliate stuff. So that's
crazy.
It's just amazing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anyway,
Guys.
right. Yeah, very much from the bottom of all of our cold, dead black hearts.
The shackles of our hearts.
Hi. Hello. Sorry. I got lost. Normally I'm a way more upbeat, but I'm really struggling today. I can feel it.
Obviously.
I can feel there's I don't know, some sort of rope stuck back in there. It's really annoying. Anyway, let's talk about
Ropes
nukes.
are called muscles.
Let's talk about yeah.
Let's talk about nukes, baby.
baby.
Let's.
Yeah.
I'll stop now. I should never sing because that is just not a good thing for anybody.
No way.
Ever.
You should be on backup vocals. But where do you want to start, DK? Where do you want to drop the first one?
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Well
I mean,
done.
let's get initial impressions and hot takes out there right now. So, panel nukes,
Hello.
underrated, overrated, properly rated. How
I think
important are nukes in this little game that we call SM5?
so. I think nukes are one of those things that, depending upon the game state, can be all three of those things.
Mm.
There are sometimes when they are perfect. They are the golden child. They are just glorious. There are sometimes when they are vastly overrated. Why the fuck did you throw that nuke then? That was fucking useless. And then there are those times where they're underrated because they would they would literally be the most amazing thing ever. Not just perfect, but oh my god, and they don't happen. So it's totally dependent upon game state as to where they actually land with that scale. How's that for a
Maybe a little
political
bit
answer?
rolled into that as well, as depends on who's dropping them. But maybe that's hand in hand. Like game state and yeah, the person who is wielding them. Because yeah, not all nukes are created equal.
It's true. When the medic nukes, that's way cooler than when the
Way
commander nukes.
cooler. Yeah.
So I guess I would ask you to clarify it. So what do you mean? It depends on who's
So
dropping it.
so the player, the caliber of the player who's playing their commander role. So, if you've got a newer player playing the commander role, dropping one or two random nukes throughout the game, then they're just whatever. But they are ineffective and don't really have much of a bearing on the game. But if you have a skilled, experienced commander dropping them at opportune moments and blah blah blah, like Dan said, depending on the flow of the game or whatever. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Fuck, my neck is just making this real hard.
That's all right, Steve-O.
Where's my pipe?
DK and I can carry the show. It's fine.
I'm gonna sit back here and
DK and I
listen to
can
you
carry the
guys
show.
riff.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting for you to bring that up. So I don't know if that is so much dependent just on the player, but kind of just a general trend with nukes is that I guess they have whatever the opposite of a diminishing return is, that they actually become more valuable the more of them you get, and the later in the game that they come in, that when you actually have access to the nukes, like the more time you can essentially keep the other team down from your nukes, like that adds up over time.
Yeah.
So unlike some resources, it's like, well, once you're above a certain point, like getting additional units of whatever, this doesn't make as much of a difference. But nukes seem like they operate on the opposite principle, that if you can get more of them, like the third nuke is much more valuable than the second nuke, and the fourth nuke is more valuable than the third, so on and so forth.
Yes, but then within that statement, there's also the idea that you can have this resource but wait too long.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily meaning like keeping them in the pocket per se. I just mean that over the game, like assuming that the nukes detonate, regardless of when they detonate, the more nukes you detonate in a game, the more valuable each one is. Because if you get to like 5 or 6, it's pretty likely that you're going to have a really good score at the very least, and it's much more likely you will have eliminated the other team if you have that many nukes.
Yeah, although Titch does make a good comment in chat as well about sometimes an early nuke can basically end a game, as far as you can get a quick kill on an ammo or a 3-hit or something like that, and suddenly the game state is changed in such a way that the team that's lost that player doesn't really have a chance to come back from. I mean, you drop a nuke at 90 seconds and you catch the ammo out. I mean, that's the game.
Yeah.
No matter.
Well, that
really
even
no
had
what.
like one of the categories of nukes that I was kind of looking at about, when you should nuke and stuff like that. I even call it the catch out nuke, because it's like, if you can time it properly, if you had that kind of perfect information that chat wants you to have, They're like, nuke now, nuke now. Like, yeah, if you have that ability, then that's the best nuke in terms of timing.
Yeah, and that's always kind of one of those things that, I mean, talking about the perfect information inside of the game. Yeah, when we're watching these games on streams, and yeah, and we've got the scoreboard in front of us, like, oh yes, it's so clear that this should happen, but then you kind of have to put the, okay, so what game state is the commander actually in that moment? What game state is his or her team in that moment, in terms of, do they actually have the space to be able to throw those nukes? Do they actually, are they actually set up to be able to capitalize on those nukes? And then Trag's comment in chat: if you have 6 nukes, it means the medics had too much opportunity to fill their team with lives, and you're far less likely to get an elim.
If it takes all 6 to kill the medic, yeah, sure.
Yeah. I definitely remember a game, I'm pretty sure this was in 2001, where I was on a team and we had 5 nukes dropped on us, and the only person that died was the medic. Because
I feel like that's kind of more common than not, to be honest.
Yeah, but it was one of those things that, because of how long it had taken to drop, well, everybody was full. The drop happened at 60. Okay, yeah, the medic went away. Bye. But the commander and scouts were still between like 12 and 15 lives because of where they were game state wise, and the heavy was still on like 3 or 4 after, and the elim didn't happen because waited
so I
too
guess
fucking long.
the caveat on that is like, the nukes are more valuable the more you get, but also more valuable the earlier in time you get them, because there's a big difference between having 5 nukes at 12 minutes into the game versus 14 minutes into the game, giving yourself 3 minutes to finish the mop up versus only 1 minute.
Yeah, there is a definite diminishing returns with time left in the game with that.
So like a bell curve.
Yeah, sounds like we're gonna need a 2-axis graph here to measure our.
DK, I could watch you Vogue all day. I'm gonna cut this.
It's the reverse camera. I don't know which direction I'm supposed to do things. But you're right.
It's fine. Just do the things. It's fine.
Just vibing over here.
Just vibing. Yeah.
All vibes. All vibes.
That's pretty much my only contribution to that whole conversation.
Okay, so other than the fact that nukes are objectively cool and valuable, so
cool.
why should you nuke? When you're in a game, you're playing Commander, you have a nuke, why should you decide to use it at one moment versus another?
Impress your friends. Everyone else was doing it.
Reason number 1.
Yeah.
Drop nukes, impress your friends.
The peer pressure approach. All right, I can get behind that.
So this totally is gonna lead us down the road of game states and game awareness and situational awareness and team communication. Because in a perfect world, whenever you're dropping a nuke, no matter how many nukes you're dropping, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, there should always be some type of positive purpose to dropping the nuke, whether that positive purpose is to set up an attack, or that positive purpose is to back the other team the fuck off your resupply. So there should always be some type of net positive purpose. You shouldn't ever just be randomly dropping with no idea about what is my next step from this. Like, if you're dropping a single nuke, sure, that's fine. There are definitely points at which dropping a single is 100% the right call. But if you're dropping that single and you're not in a position for either yourself or or your team to do something with it, and then immediately the other team is just able to like, oh, that that single nuke dropped, nobody did anything, okay, we'll just resupply back up. And now, okay, yeah, sure, you dropped 3 lives off the medic, that's cool, but you didn't really net positive affect your team's game state at that moment. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So we got a couple of options that are in there. So we talked a little bit about what was the version that we did before, or that the catch out nuke is one version of it. So if you know somebody's low enough on lives that 1 nuke, 2 nukes, usually 1 or 2, I feel like, is when people make this kind of announcement. You hear somebody's low on lives, especially since, the Gen 8 vests are real chatty Cathys, and they will just send that kind of information out into the universe. You have 6 lives remaining. Shut fuck!
Yeah, that is.
But since that kind of information is available, and again, that's where this whole, with perfect information, you could make better decisions. But that's some of the stuff that's offered in there. So we got the catch out nuke, we got the single nuke rush attack to set up an attack, and we got the back off nuke. I need to get people to stop attacking my team, if only for 8 seconds, because sometimes that's all you get.
Yeah. So, excuse me. So yeah. So these are all things that, like, with the catch out nuke and Titch. I see your comment in chat. Titch is not wrong. Like, if one of your teammates hears somebody's pack say that their lives low or lives crit, or you hear somebody's pack saying lives low, lives crit, like, and you know that you've got at least a nuke up, and
lives crit 2022. You know exactly how many lives they have. There ain't no lives crit. 4 lives, 5 lives, 3 lives.
Whatever. The point being, like, this also gets us into team communication states as well. Like, these are things that, even if you're not playing Commander, you should be listening for. And if you hear somebody's pack, announcing into the universe that they fucked, you have to be loud and communicate that, so that your commander can, hopefully, do something with that information. Now that they're not always going to be able to do something with that information. That's again another one of those game state things where maybe your commander is right in the middle of, fighting people and doesn't have the space to be able to drop in that moment. Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, I think there's sometimes kind of a two-edged sword with that. It's hard to interject, but this has a direct parallel to something that happened in the St. George tournament. This did happen one game. I was playing heavy. Connor Snowflake was playing commander, and I heard enemy player, I'm pretty sure it was the medic on the other team, so this didn't make a big difference anyway, had gone down to 6 lives. So I just started screaming at the top of my lungs, Connor drop, Connor drop, Connor drop. And I must have done this for a good 20 to 25 seconds. I wish we had the sound clip of it, just me screaming at the top of my lungs, telling him to drop the nuke. But what had happened is that I'm pretty sure Zev was the enemy heavy that game. When he heard me calling for Connor to drop, he basically decided he was not going to leave Connor alone for like the next 30 seconds. So Connor's running all around the area trying to get away from Zev while I'm screaming at him to nuke. So sometimes that information can be a two-edged sword.
That's pretty ballsy play on Zev's part, though. Like,
Zev's a pretty ballsy guy. I don't know what to tell you.
He
is the gambler.
Yeah. So that's another one of those game state things where, yeah, if you hear, if you're on the opposing team and you hear somebody, calling for the commander drop, yeah, now suddenly you have that option of, oh fuck, somebody on their team is hurt, somebody on my team is screwed, lives wise, but potentially. Can I now make the commander's life miserable so that they don't get that space to drop and give my team a chance to recover recover some lives? Can that player who was fucked lives wise get back to the medic and get a couple of taps? Like, yeah, it's very much, I think, it is very much the chess match that is our beautiful perfect angel, Space Marines 5. It's glorious.
Love it. What Than said.
Well,
What
yeah.
Dan said.
That's it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so since we've established that nukes can be used to set up an attack, like I feel like we should probably unpack that a little bit. So beyond just the commander, the person who's dropping the nuke, what about the rest of the team? What are their responsibilities when a nuke is going off? What should they be doing? What should they not be doing?
I think, like, first and foremost, I whenever I play with someone, I would appreciate like a heads up before a drop, if possible. So, like, if they are dropping, depending on the reason that they're dropping, if they're dropping to, get the resupply to go on a base run, then obviously telling the resupply, I'm going to go get your bases, pretty helpful thing to know. Otherwise, they might not click until like halfway through, or towards the end of their the first nuke dropping. And if there's only two, like, that's sometimes not enough time to actually go. So first and foremost, getting a heads up from the commander is big, but doing things like backtracking on an enemy nuke, that stuff's really important. Dan, you want to jump in, rescue me?
Yeah, as the light just falls out of your eyes. Yeah, I'm watching it. I'm just watching you slowly die inside.
I've got this whiskey bottle, which is really helping, and not in the way that you'd think.
I mean, maybe it isn't the way that we think.
Yeah.
That's not what they mean by medicinal purposes, Steve.
Yeah, so some of that does come down to like pre-game communication. At least at a high level, saying, letting your team know that, hey, if I call that I'm in a nuke and I'm calling it loud, then I'm calling that as a, you guys need to push in on the enemy team when I do that. You're 100% right about the, letting your resupply know if you're trying to drop 2 or 3 to give them cover to go get bases. Again, it's amazing how many of these things like do come back to just a level of communication. As with so many things in life, if you communicate your intentions properly, then your net game state is going to be better. Wolfie, get awarded bases. Who needs to get them?
Want those sweet special points.
Yeah, and Wolfie, not all of us are as amazing as you are. So some of us need to go and get our bases. So yeah, that's
Unless I'm the heavy, I don't want to be awarded those bases. I want those sweet special points.
What are you going to spend yours on? Oh.
It really sucks.
Cheers.
all right.
I don't know why the blue didn't go. Why'd the blue no go?
No blue go.
No blue go. Blue go sad.
And then the other thing, like with nuke drops as well, is like the quantity that you drop are also very arena dependent as far as what's useful.
For a base run, you mean specifically?
I'm talking just for most anything, really. I mean,
Yeah.
base run,
Does the
yes.
arena play fast or slow? Is the arena large or small? Is it 2 floor, 1 floor? Is it long versus wide? Blimey. All those things.
Yeah, so there's
It was quite a
very
big
much
penis
also-
in my ear.
What?
Don't worry about it.
What is our new sound clip here?
Oh, I got heaps
Okay.
of it. This one's quite good.
Bit rough, bit rusty.
Thanks, Steve. My train of thought is now mostly gone.
Hey, fuck
Thanks for
you,
that.
Steven.
Well, we love that one.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
that one's awesome.
We love that one.
But
We love that one in Dump Shop.
but
Yeah.
but as far as the right number of nukes to drop, I know that previous conversations we've had, it's always kind of been like either 1 or 3 seem to kind of be the magic numbers. I think like 2 for some reason, just two is generally not quite enough to be a base run in most arenas. I think St. George feels like the
St. George
kind of
being the exception.
yes, St.
It was
George
more
being
than
the
enough time for a
exception.
base run. More than enough time. I was
but-
trying to get it down to 1 in some of my sprint drills I was running, but then I had Tucker and Connor inform me that not everybody moves through the arena that way.
Yeah, fuck you, fit guy.
Yeah.
Well, also, there's like people that get in the way and shit when you're not running through the arena by yourself.
What's
Also true.
What's really interesting actually is the meta seems to have changed. I remember back in the day,
Mm.
there was a conversations about dropping 1 seems to be a waste in some cases, but certainly dropping 2 was a waste. But that seems to have changed.
I was very much of that opinion at one point, and I agree with you. I have changed my opinion on that. Because I think, in addition to the base run idea that you talked about, like depending on the arena, 2 is probably enough to give your resupply cover to go get the bases, stuff like that. Or the quick 2 or the early 2, or we should also call the angry morange, since we have that Twitch clip as well, can be good for putting the enemy on the back foot, for doing like the catch out nuke, because people might count on 1 early nuke, but if you can get 2 nukes in like the first couple of minutes, those are times when people will sometimes run lower on lives. They're like, well, it's not like we're gonna get nuked 2 or 3 times, so sure, I can wait until I'm down to 6 lives to go back to resup versus waiting until I'm on like 8 or 9, something like that. So sure, I think there definitely are situations where 2 can be useful, and I know this came up a lot, I feel like, in the last 2 tournaments, is that chat started getting very vehemently anti 3 or more chains. They're just like, why is everybody trying to stack? Like that's too many. 2 nukes would have gotten the job done at this point, which true sometimes, but not always.
It maybe, I don't know if it's something that has been driven maybe by the Brisbane scene, but pretty much like the Brisbane players seemingly, from what I remember from the Triple Threat tournament, which to be fair wasn't that much, but from what I remember, they were dropping after 1 or 2. Very rarely were people holding on to them. And yeah, I don't recall it ever being like that. I just like Ducky said, thou shalt not count 2 unless proceeding to 3. Because I guess the thought process was, once you get to 3, if the thought process is that if you get to 3 early enough, when you drop them, you're going to kill at least 1 person out, which is not necessarily the case.
That's a rationale. It's not usually my rationale for why I considered 3 to be in an optimal game kind of the optimal number. Now, again, optimal situations very rarely come up.
He's the one that was the truck, right?
I forget the analogy is. Yes.
Sweet.
But my logic was more not that we're likely to kill 1 person. It's that by the stage in the game that the commander arrives at 3 nukes, your team should do enough damage that they've taken 11 lives off the medic, and thus 3 nukes will kill out the medic and prevent them from gaining any more lives. So you get the medic out in the shortest amount of time possible and leave yourself as much time to mop up. So
killing
so off the medic,
kill at least the medic,
and then moving to the end game. Yeah. So it's like, you do that, great, but if you drop this 3 and you don't kill the medic, unless there's follow-up, then that might also mean that, well, actually you waited too late, when if you had dropped at 2, you could have caught someone out, or you could have put them so on the back foot they would have had a hard time recovering. So that's why I think, chat is always like, why are people waiting for 3? Why are people waiting for 3? Why are people waiting for 3? And I mean, in other instances, like, again, one game, the St. George tournament I was playing, I think it was actually our game in finals. I had no intention of holding to 3. I was wanting to drop them earlier, but it never really worked up that I was, as Stan was saying, able to communicate with other people on my team, especially the heavy, to create a good situation where dropping a lower number than that would have accomplished the goal. Now, as it turned out, 3 wasn't enough anyway, because I was apparently the only person hitting the medic, but shit happens.
Well, and so I think with the fact that both of the 2 most recent tournaments were in Auckland and St. George, which are both relatively small, fast-paced arenas, also definitely would have been impacting, the responses, from chat around Nukes, and really kind of the game state that people's lives would have been in, because both arenas do play so fast and are so, you're relatively in constant contact between both teams. It's not like Brisbane, where the arena is such that, I mean, yes, there's obviously a lot of long shots in Brisbane, and I understand that, but you can have game state moments in Brisbane where there's not necessarily a lot happening. There's like people are shifting positions, but there's not necessarily a lot of shots being exchanged.
Well, time to go back to Resup. Got to do my 2K run now.
Yeah.
Or if you're not familiar with the arena, like you can kind of get lost if you go the wrong way. You can get lost for a little bit. Like,
how did I end up with the stupid alien again?
What the fuck? This is bullshit. Yeah, no, for sure. Whereas that's not really a thing that happens in either St. George or Auckland as far as that goes.
Oh shit.
So that, yeah.
Do you want to address Tucker's question quickly? If you can comfortably make it to 3 nukes and not be worrying about a base run for your resubs, why would you not just randomly boom them?
Well, it shouldn't be random.
Yeah.
But if you can do something like that, great.
I think the point is that, like, if you can give your team the best opportunity to do something more productive with your nuke drop, why wouldn't you? Like, that it's more optimal to get, the maximum result out of your nuke drops, rather than just be like, oh fuck, now's as good a time as any, let's drop some nukes. Yeah, if you can add more purpose to them, why wouldn't you want to do that?
Yeah, so that to me kind of gets back to the question previously about, well, what should the rest of the team be doing when you're nuking? Because you can hear there's a nuke going off. So in my earlier example, where it's like the most basic kind of nuke rush, I feel like, is essentially you let your heavy know when you're going to nuke. So that way they can go in, stand in the enemy resupply, wait for that nuke to go off, and then just punt them right out of there. That's like the base level nuke rush, is you have somebody who basically is able to dislodge the resupply from where they're sitting.
Rather than like set a track and then they're in there. And there's, your nukes drop and you couldn't go in effectively because everyone set a
right
track.
Because ideally it's like you want to be able to rush in as soon as the nuke goes off, but because people are smart and the meta is advanced, people will backtrack and stuff like that. So it's usually helpful to actually have the heavy already in place. So even if they take a couple of shots, they're in the middle and they can't have a path set on them. So they're going to be up first and they're going to boot the resupply out of wherever they are.
Yeah.
So that's like level 1. Now, then level 2, it's like, yes, have an attacker where the resupply is. Also, have an attacker where they're going to be next. So that way they can't be there either. And then stage 3 is, okay, and then take away this other backup position. So
yeah, if you can take away...
In a real new rush, like, really you need to have multiple things that are covered. If you want it to be as maximally effective as an attack as possible, it's not just about dislodging them. It's about then denying other things in the field that they want to do. Don't let them go on a base run. Don't let them recover and resupply. Don't let them get to a safe location where now they can reestablish. Like, okay, you know where their primary resupply is. You know that they probably have maybe one or two other options to another place they can go when we get kicked. Cover at least one of those, because if they happen to show up where you are, ooh, man, well, you could just eat up that resupply.
Yeah,
Delicious.
they also like, it's really hard for a resupply to regather themselves if they get kicked and then the place they are running to, there's also people there. Then you're like, fuck, well now what?
That is the worst, absolute worst thing as
Yeah.
a resupply. Like that fucks up my entire day.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like,
It's
a
okay,
terrible
all right, we
feeling.
got kicked from here. We go to this other place. Oh fuck, they have people there.
They're all
Like,
there.
well,
Well, now what? Should we go
now
back
you're
to
like
the
going
first
into
place?
panic mode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the game is one-sided, then yes, random drops would be end of
Would not be the end.
There we go. However, when you have more experienced teams that could lose a game, so it's probably situational again. Yeah, situations are situational.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it again goes to a situation
Which is
where,
situational.
yes, it's ideal for the commander. I would agree with you guys there. The commander should definitely articulate their wishes to the rest of the team when they're going to nuke and what they would like them to do. But as somebody who else is on the team, if you know that your commander's nuking because you hear a nuke going off in the PA, and now your vest tells you whether or not it's an enemy nuke. Well, I guess it just tells you if it's an enemy nuke, and if it doesn't say anything, you assume it's yours, even though sometimes I don't hear that, and then it really fucks me up. But in any case, you should know whether it's your nuke or not. You can then go ahead and do what your sort of predetermined thing is. Like either I need to be in this position, I need to be in their resupply, or I need to be covering this segment of the field. So now we have my 20-second rant. Nothing drives me crazier when I'm watching a game, either in the arena or I'm watching a replay or something like that. When somebody who is not absolutely critical on lives or shots gets resupplied during their team's nuke. Why? Stop doing that. You could be doing 100 things that are more useful right now than getting resupplied. Unless you absolutely need that, it's like, oh, thank God somebody nuked because now I can finally get resupplied because I'm on 3 lives and 5 shots. No, go do something else. At least cover a position so that way if the enemy goes across the field, you can pick up some resets or something like that. So, short rant.
I think
That's it for that.
Well, if you're gonna rant, I'm gonna rant too. So one thing that does,
This whole show is about rants.
Yeah. One thing, fuck, I can't remember. Stupid Nick. It was something along the lines of, Gen 8 and Gen 7 have maybe taken away people's not need, but their like ability to listen to what else is happening in the maze. So like we've talked about it before, how important the sound over the PA is, and now with the suits telling you exactly how many lives or shots an enemy player has, hearing the sounds in the arena. So like one thing is if you drop a nuke as the commander, if you've got less experienced players, I found like a lot of them will be very slow to react to it because they don't hear the nuke drop, or at least not right away. So that's probably the other reason why giving your team a heads up is quite good, because if you've got newer players on your team, they might not be as quick to react to the nuke dropping just out of the blue. But that wasn't really a rant.
I mean, it's reasonable advice though.
Yeah.
It's Steve-O, that was a very valid point.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you making that point through your pained neck and everything. Well done.
It's good. Gen A has made it more accessible for newer players to develop. Yes and no. So like, it gives them a lot of information on their gun, which is awesome. But what I've found is that a lot of newer players will get very wrapped up in just staring at their gun throughout the whole game. And also because all the information that they feel that they need is on the gun, they don't develop the sense to like listen to the other stuff that's happening, like Nuke drops over
It's
the PA.
smartphones all over again. We
Yeah.
have the entire library of human knowledge at our disposal, and what do? We watch cat videos.
Yeah.
It's not the worst thing ever.
It's not the worst thing ever, but in
But
terms
no,
of
I mean,
applications,
yeah, and there is definitely an argument to be made about that around people just getting, you know, essentially sucked into the back of their gun, as far as like, okay, yeah, this is my game state, and this is the only game state that I care about because it's mine.
Clips of GD
Yeah,
throwing
so-
chairs doesn't exist.
yeah, I think overall I would still have to agree with Titch that it is easier to develop new players, but success is not guaranteed because having more information. I'm basically of the opinion that more information is always good, but if you don't know what to do with the information, it doesn't make any difference anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You can give somebody all the information in the world. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't milk them. That's the expression, right?
That's right.
Totally, that's totally 100% the
Did you say can't milk them?
right expression.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Yuck.
Yeah, pay attention, neck guy.
What did you call me? You can't say that.
Guy next
here.
door.
Guy next door. Guy next door. There we go.
Guy next door.
Guy
Yeah,
next door.
okay.
Womp womp.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, overall, I think that's important. But yeah, just the quick rant of listen for whether or not it's your team's nuke, and I'm including myself in that because there have been times where I could swear that it's our nuke because I never heard it say enemy nuke activated.
Mm-hmm.
Probably because my vest was telling me some other bullshit I didn't need to know, like I have 37 shots. Why is that a number I need to know?
The temperature is. Shut up.
At the beep,
Yeah.
the time will be 4:59. Beep. Yeah.
Actually, it would be nice if the vest would tell me now and again how much time's left remaining in the game. That
Yeah.
would be useful information. But that's now really giving away the farm.
That's right.
Yeah, and Titch is right. It only works if you have someone to teach them, and the more things you pick up on. So knowing what the PA sounds are, knowing how to read the game, for lack of a better term. Because Fan, a lot of things you were saying earlier of it. Well, it depends on how you're communicating with your team. It depends on what state the game is in. All sorts of things. This was very similar, I feel like, to a conversation I had with Thunder in Utah trying to explain things to newer players. He's like, it's difficult sometimes to come up with like, well, you should do this versus this, because to know something about this one subject, you need to know things about these 5 other subjects that are attached to it. Like, okay, well, you should go here, but only if these other 3 things apply. And if these 2 other things happen, then you should be in this place instead. So there are always situations you need to develop, but knowing little things like that about, okay, where is the enemy resupply? And if they get flushed, where are they likely to go? Like those 2 pieces of information are really valuable if you can use them properly. And those are the kinds of things that nukes can allow your team to do, is not just to dislodge the resup, not just to take some lives off the medic, but to set up an attack in which the medic is going to lose multiple lives, because rather than having to go through an entire wall to get to the medic, they're right there in the field for you, able to get shots pinged at them from all over the place. And sometimes the medic will take like a double shot or a triple shot, and that's just devastating because they can't get that stuff back.
Did we ever do a show that, of things that you should like teach new players coming in, or newer players coming in? Did we ever do a show like that? Surely we did.
Well, if we did, it was probably long enough ago that we should do another one like that. So guess what? Sometime in the next couple of weeks, you guys are getting a show like that.
Yeah, also, just off the back of what Titch said, good examples you had to explain to an area and how a reset works in Space Marines when you've been playing for a few years. Do you mean like Luke's videos? Nah. Not like his videos. Nah. Our videos.
Those heretic channels?
Yeah. You mean that really well-produced video content on YouTube? Nah. Exclamation Mischief in chat, actually, if you want to check out his stuff, because it's well worth it. But, I mean, yeah, like...
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it really is.
Although he had a horrible take on ammo skill level.
Yeah, he's already taken his lumps for that, though.
What? He said
wow.
that's like the easiest.
Beginner.
Yeah, that was
race is-
the when he first did the SM5 position breakdown. He had said that ammo was the beginner position.
I mean, to
So,
be fair,
He's
like
since apologized for that. so
there
we don't
is
need to
no
hit
there's
him
no
up again. Poor guy.
beginner position in Space Marines, right? Like, not really.
It's kind of scout by default.
Yeah, but even then, like, I don't know. You don't really want like beginners playing, but if you have to have beginner playing, probably. Well, I mean, scout, yeah, for sure.
Still, everybody's got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah,
With
that's one of
standards.
those things where again, it's like, okay, you can. And we've done a show on this, I think, on our scout breakdown where we talked about, okay, yeah, scout is the beginner position, but if you put a really good player there, you will very quickly realize the difference between what a beginner player and a good player actually does, because you go from getting an expected like probably 4,000 points out of a position to getting like 8,000 or 9,000, and they're in the right places, getting the right resets at the right time, and actually contributing to both defense and offense. Now all of a sudden you really start to open up that it's like, okay, it's not just that, well, the good players play 3 hits and the beginners play scouts. It's, well, no, there's a lot of room for growth in all of these different positions that you can do.
I want to
sure.
try and see if I can ban the term Wabbit season from chat.
Unacceptable hate speech.
Yeah, don't like it.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, yuck. All right.
Yeah, and again, Slam Man, medic only if you have somebody like Fan or another good experienced player to teach you how to do it, like a ammo that will hold your hand and tell you what to do. Don't just throw somebody into the deep end. You're a good player. You're a medic.
Like you did. I mean, you know, it happens. It happens. Right. What's next?
Okay, so we talked a little bit about like the great stacking debate. Should you stack nukes or not? Obviously, the answer is it's situational, but at least understanding what the logic is for dropping 1, 2, or 3 nukes. But what about those other games where somebody drops 4 or 5 nukes? Is that ever like a good strategy, or is that just showing off at that point? Get some hot takes out there.
Column B.
I think it's again it's changed. So like when I first started playing, that's just what you did. You dropped all your nukes at 60 seconds. You saved them up for the whole game. You dropped them at 60 seconds, and then whatever happens. And
the last minute chicken game is what I call that one.
Yeah. The first was the first to drop closest to 60 was gonna have the edge, because you know it doesn't leave the other player that much time to drop all of their nukes, and you know.
Yeah.
But that was at a time where we didn't have things like MVP, and stuff. And I think maybe MVP has contributed to the change of the game.
In a good way or a bad way?
Just in
A
our
little
way.
column A, little
Yeah,
column
yeah,
B.
yeah. Maybe it's actually
Terrible on first take.
maybe it's actually just you know, it's just we've learnt that there's more efficient ways to go about killing a team out of the game. Like
In which case, having data like MVP points would be a positive improvement, because you would use that information to try to improve your game and smooth out inefficiencies.
So I think back in the introduction of MVP, you didn't. There was not a lot of accounting for killing the team out quicker. So you would get more MVP points if you could extend the game, if I understand that correctly.
Correct.
And so there was, there was less incentive for you to want to kill out the other team, which was dumb, because Space Marines at its core is you should try and kill the other team. That's the goal. Kill the other team. Doesn't matter about points. Doesn't matter, about MVP. None of that matters. The goal of the game, at least in our eyes, was kill the other team. And then all the other stuff is secondary.
Correct. I mean, my usual kind of like response on that is, well, no, obviously, and this is true of statistics in a lot of areas. When a measure becomes a target, it's no longer a good measure of something, because people will try to game the system to boost their numbers as much as possible.
Yeah.
But the idea is, like, if you're able to manipulate the game in such a way that you have enough control that you can decide to string the game out to beat up the other team more, you're probably gonna win that game anyway. In a close battle between two teams where it's neck and neck the whole way, you don't have time to think about, well, is this gonna get me more MVP or not? When the teams are closer in skill level, there's where I think it verges a little bit more back toward, like you said, toward that pure game of we need to get this other team out as quickly as possible because they could do the same thing to you. You can up against a team where it's like, these guys can't eat lemons anyway. We might as well just have our fun and play with the food for a little bit. And make sure we use all our missiles and try to hit the medic 20 times instead of killing them out with nukes and all that kind of stuff. But that again implies that you have such a level of control of the game that you're kind of doing something different already. It's not like a battle for your life against two teams that are very closely matched. And if one stumbles by trying to showboat or get more MVP, the other one can take advantage of them and then clobber them.
Right.
That's all I would say there.
It does seem that like that stacking 4 or 5, maybe less about 4, but certainly holding and dropping 5 is not really a optimal way of playing Space Marines. It doesn't. There's not really that much point to doing it.
Well, not if it takes you 14 minutes to do it. If you get to 99 specials and there's only 60 seconds left, then yeah, you said it and Traj said it. It is not really all that likely that you're going to kill out the other team unless they're already on the end stages anyway. Because if you needed 5 nukes to even kill out the medic, it means you did not do enough damage to them earlier in the game. Because that again sort of goes back to what I was saying about like the 3-chain idea that, well, yeah, in a good all things being equal game, I think by the time I get to 60 specials that we can put 11 hits into the enemy medic and then it will all work out. But there are those games where it's like, shit, can't get past their defenses. Like we've done barely any damage to the medic. Even 3 nukes is not going to kill out the medic. So there's no point doing that. So then you ask yourself, okay, well, would it be better then to wait for 4 and hopefully kill the medic out then and hope we still have enough time to mop up the rest of the team? Or should we switch up our strategy and now maybe we use a nuke to dislodge them and then maybe another one to kind of push them in another direction? Because that's like another kind of variant on the nuke chain is also the stagger drop, right? Where you do wait for the other team to reactivate, both so you can pick up more resets and so that way all of their trails reset. So you don't have to worry about backtracking into an area or something like that. But that also means that if they come up, they're going to have an opportunity potentially to throw some lives out there. Like if the medic is surrounded by everybody, can just go boom, 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 and basically cancel out the effectiveness of your nuke, then that's the risk you run, I guess.
Go ahead.
Oh yes. So Titch's comment chat about playing with your food can demoralize newer players and stop the scene from growing. So there's again this is another one of those kind of situational things. Like there are some times where playing with your food is actually a net positive for the team being played with, and I say that
assuming you don't refer to it as playing with your food.
With your food, yes, as yes.
If you get 5-chained your food, I don't know what to tell you. I'm telling like it is.
But the idea that sometimes it's like, we know this is a newer team. We know that they're trying to, build reps, build arena time, arena knowledge, game state knowledge, this, that, the other. There are times when being a merciful God, as it were, and letting a newer team play, and then letting it get to 60 and then just dropping. It's like, okay, well, we've let you play it now, and now we're going to mop up. There is sometimes a benefit to that. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that is it's an always a good thing, because at the same time, you do have to sometimes show it's like, no, look, so here's how this is done properly. and they're out in 5 minutes, which can also be demoralizing. So it's
I think
it's
that's
walking
way
that
worse.
line. It's walking that line with newer players, newer teams, and trying to, kind of, in a perfect world, you are trying to educate as well as win when you're playing against newer people. You're trying to, help them improve their experience, their game knowledge, the whole nine. And sometimes that does mean letting the game go a little longer than it might otherwise. But again, that gets back to your comment, DK, about the whole skill differential thing, where if you're in a situation where you know that you can do that,
That's a
and
luxury.
and Brisbane definitely has done that to a number of teams over the years, and Oakley's done it to a number of teams over the years as well. That's one of those things that sometimes it's not terrible.
It
On
also
a
depends
members,
on how players respond to it too. Because I actually had this literal conversation with somebody. I don't remember which year it was, but it was one of the years where Brisbane was playing Brisbane A, one of the a rusty trage super team, whatever's happening over there, was playing some team that was very low ranked in the tournament and stuff like that. And they were feeling bad about what happened, and Rusty had 5 chained on him, and somebody had said, like, they also felt it was demoralizing, how, like what Titch said, there's like, man, I just wouldn't do that, they should just finish this off. And I kind of was trying to explain your perspective there. I'm like, well, would you rather get your ass beat for 14 minutes or get your ass beat for 6 minutes? And from one perspective, yeah, well, if I'm going to get my ass beat, get it over with. I'd rather have it done in 6 minutes. But if the alternative is, for me personally, I would rather have that longer time. Like, I don't want to get 5 chained either. But if it's gonna, I would rather play as long as I can with higher ranked players and higher ranked teams, because I want to see what they do. I want to get those reps. I want to see if there are ways that I can fight back. That is literally the only way I think that players get better, is by playing players who are better than them, learning what they're doing and learning how to counter it. So if I have to get my ass beat one way or the other, I'd rather have my ass beat for 14 minutes, because at least then I can maybe get in a couple of punches back in the other direction.
It's a really strange thing, actually. Maybe it's because when I started playing, dropping 5 was what you did. Well, in our mates, everyone dropped 5. You just held your nukes until the last 60 seconds. You dropped 5. So for us, like, getting 5 chained is not like not an insult or a like demoralizing thing or something you should feel bad about, because that's just, it was just Space Marines. There's a weird, like, I don't know, a weird bruised ego thing about, oh, somebody dropped 5 on us and they were showing off and being a jerk.
Bruised egos? The laser tag? Oh my god!
No.
First time hearing of it.
But like,
No.
it's such an unnecessary way to feel. And I mean, like, how dare I tell people how to feel? But I don't know. It's seen as something really negative to have somebody drop 5 nukes, or to drop 5 nukes on you or whatever. But maybe I just see it as, if somebody waited, especially now because the meta has changed, it's not something that you do in a Space Marines that often anymore. But you're also playing 20-minute games as standard? No, we weren't playing 20-minute games. Who played 20-minute Space Marines games?
I don't know. I don't know if maybe Ducky is referring to the idea that it was just sort of a given that people get 5 nukes, because in my experience, I don't think that's a given.
No. So not that they would get 5, but if you were like, so we at the time that I'm talking about was like trips and Nightmare predominantly, and then towards the end of their time of playing, Virus was doing it, and I would do it. Me not so often, but definitely those 3, they would get enough special points to drop 5 nukes. Trips would do it on a regular basis, and so now when I look at it happen, I'm like, yeah, like, it makes sense, especially if you're at a tournament. hold you, and you're in the training area, or you're playing like a lower ranked team in the early stages of a tournament, give your team as much opportunity as you can to learn the arena and learn like which angles to attack from, and to really get a rhythm at the start of the tournament so that you can play more efficiently later on. And dropping 5 nukes is just a byproduct of not dropping your nukes too early in the game to kill the other team out earlier. But you've got to drop them at some point. So, you know.
Yeah. You hear that 60 seconds? Oh, I guess I better drop some nukes.
I mean, it's the end of the game now anyway. I'm just going to drop them. You remember nights when you started, we were playing 20-minute Space Marines? Pfft, fucking chodes. No.
Yeah, 4 or 5 chain was the norm.
Yeah. So, like, 4, definitely. Most people who were playing Commander at the time would get to 4 nukes. 5 was definitely the norm for, like, our best commanders. They would usually drop 5 in a game. So I don't know. Maybe it's people need to get away from the stigma about me being nuked is some sort of insult, and so the more nukes you drop on me, the more insulted I am towards it. It's a bad frame of mind to be in, because then I don't know, like it just that sort of negative
you don't
thinking
wanna...
can really build up on you. Manifest.
Yeah, you don't want to think negatively and be like, "Oh man, that was horrible." You know, I'm not enjoying myself. But if you're in a situation where even if you didn't get elimed or something like that, but the other team 5-chained you, and you come out of the game and you lost by 18k, yeah, they 5-chained you because they could. So now it's time to think about, okay, well, what do we do to fix that situation? Because the fact that somebody had that luxury to wait that long and could just drop nukes when they felt like it. Yeah, that's something that it's like, okay, well, how can we put more pressure on them? How can we sort of alleviate that earlier?
Yeah. So, also, like, if when we were training, like, if you're training for a competition, if you're training for internationals or something like that, and your A team is leaps and bounds better than your B team, not dropping your nukes as the A team has the same effect, and also benefits both teams.
If you have a good mindset about it, yes.
If you have a good mindset about it, and maybe that's just maybe you need to set expectations, or the leaders of your sites need to set expectations before you play those sorts of games. So you're like, all right, we're gonna hold off on our nukes, or hold them till later in the game to get you guys some good playtime, so that we don't use the nukes to flush you out. We're gonna try and flush you just off the back of our own, skill of shooting you. Just whatever.
I thought you were going somewhere else. Instead of flushing you out, we're gonna flush you down the toilet. Take that,
you turds.
You guys are floaters, about to flush your ass.
Yeah, I don't know. Drop 5.
Drop 5.
Always drop 5. That means you're awesome.
I mean, but yeah, in a 20-minute game where you have basically a huge amount of time to elim the other team, then that makes a little bit more sense.
If you are only getting 5 nukes in a 20-minute game, what's your problem?
Yeah.
People are dead.
Nah. You want to get at least 7 nukes.
Could be one of them. And I mean, that said, I've also seen plenty of games where there's a 5-chain and the enemy team is eliminated. But cases where that happens is usually, one, it's because Rusty's nuking and he's playing on a Brisbane team that is just wiped the floor with everybody anyway. Or 2, the medic was already dead and that 5-chain started dropping. So that was essentially like the last part of the mop-up phase. But in any case, most of that takes place like before hearing a 60-second marker goes off. Like that will, if you're down to the last minute, like, that's still going to be dicey to get that elim. I mean, I know watching the scoreboards, we're always shocked sometimes at how quickly 6 lives can go away, and sometimes we're amazed at how long 6 lives can last. So it depends on what else is happening.
Good for you, Tits. Good to have goals. Good to have goals.
There's never been a 5-chain in the UK? What?
Well, are they also usually playing 15-minute games?
I guess that would be the operant question.
Yeah, so that's a key number 1. And yeah, I'm not going to say that getting 5 nukes as a commander is absolute standard, because there are plenty of games even where very good players might not make it to 100 specials in a game. Like,
It's hard
things
to
have to go right
shoot
for that to happen. I was looking back through stats the other day, mostly because I'm a masochist, and looking at some of the games from like 2017, because again, I'm a masochist, and looking at like some of the games.
You are a masochist.
Yeah,
Jesus.
in between Sake and Brisbane, and they were like rock fights in the second round, and like in finals, you'd have commanders who are getting like 9,200, 9,300, and that's like,
low.
Me, Venom, Rusty scoring like under 10K, because it's just there was a ton of shit going on and you could not get a lot of ground. So getting to 5 is certainly not an automatic thing.
Those games were violent. It was awesome.
They were very violent.
That was fun. It was good fun.
It was.
Up to a point, yeah.
Yeah, okay, fair. I had fun.
All right. What could have been?
RP Yama's knees. All right, what else you got?
Okay, so last topic, so we can let Steve relax his neck a little bit. So what about on the receiving end? How do you defend against nukes properly? We talk about backtracks, but what else can you do to prevent a nuke from being the end of your fucking world?
There's nothing you could do except pray and hope that everyone is okay. Yeah, scatter. Yeah, everyone just run off in different directions. It confuses the enemy. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Well, I think Traj might actually not be totally facetious there, because I think that can be a good strategy, because the more areas that an enemy has to cover, the more difficult it's going to be for them to capitalize on those nukes.
Don't
if you
listen
all
to DK.
go to one place...
Don't listen to DK, especially if you're a resupply. If you scatter and you're my resupply, I'm gonna punch you in the face after the game.
Well, it's a question of, are you scattering just to scatter, or are you scattering and then
rejoining?
Rejoining somewhere? Are you having a rendezvous somewhere? That again is where like the pregame planning comes in. Of, all right, well, we go in 4 different directions, but then we're all going to meet over at this other point here.
These stupid old people.
Vogue. And Traj's point: if you scatter, you set multiple paths. So then at that point, you are complicating the attacking team's ability to be able to, get into certain areas.
Trad, you should know as well as anybody. It only matters if the refs actually call the chase.
Well, okay.
If you're scattered in the same direction, you could do the conga. It's a good point. It is a good point. Anytime someone says the word scatter in relation to a
He's mad.
resupply, it just, as a predominantly a heavy player, I hate you.
Okay, now we're getting to the spicy take. This is what I was waiting for. Thank you.
I hate it so much. And it's interesting that Tragic says it, because I would say that predominantly he's a heavy as well. Above all other scatter, not scare. Hate it, because maybe it's years of playing with inept resupply players.
Hey,
present company included.
No. Maybe it's different if you could trust your resupply, which for the most part, whenever we played our optimal lineups at nationals, I could trust my resupply player. So, but in like when you're playing weekly members nights and the predetermined destination, yeah, I guess, but like I've had so many times where we've set a flush point and the medic is like, nah, I'm going to Tahiti instead, so I'll see you guys later.
Okay, well that's a separate issue.
But like,
that's
but
not
you
really
open
objection
yourself.
against scattering. That's an objection against people not doing what they're fucking supposed to.
Yeah, but that's often par for it's par for the course. I find like people really go where they're supposed to on a scatter play. Maybe it's just, maybe it's just my neck pain talking, but I hate it. Talk to your team on Resupply. We're going to X next.
It's just say, get good.
So I love
With
what
an
you
I
just...
and a U.
Traj, I love what you just said there. Like constant communication with your resupply, love it. Absolutely love it. What's better is when you can trust them to do what they're supposed to do. Love that more. But yeah, like communication with your team is paramount. But like, whenever you scatter, just there's always... I don't talk to the help.
Dazza, asshole.
There's just always the likelihood of them just, not going to the right place. Like, so many times people will run towards something and see an opposition player and go, and then run a different way. It's like, just run past them, man. Like, you'll lose a life, probably. Feel free to run away in a line. I don't like multiple missile resets. But no, scatter's dumb. Don't listen to these old fucks. Don't scatter. I'll kill you. I'll kill you myself. Anyway.
Or learn how to scatter properly so Steve can get over his scatterphobia.
Scatterphobia. Yeah, I hate poop.
You know what you are? You're a scatterphobe. I don't stand for this, Steve.
At least not in One Direction. You once played with a Swedish team whose communication was amazing throughout games. However, they forgot mid-sentence that I didn't speak Swedish and would change the language mid-sentence so you'd get confused. That's kind of what happened watching the Germans play in Colorado. Like,
that's what we call counter intel.
But Marcus and Andreas would like talk to each other in German and then and then switch. It was great. Anyway, feel free to add to this conversation, boys. Sick of ranting.
Are you though?
No.
Are you?
No.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's really, yes, the scatter.
Not yes,
but also
the
scatter.
So don't completely go to pieces, but also don't stay where you are or just run in a straight line, all of you together. So we have to have some kind of happy middle ground here.
But also, like, getting back to something that we actually said much earlier in this pod, as well as, as the defensive team in this case, like, if you hear the other team calling for a nuke, and you know who their commander is, and you fucking well should know who their commander is, but by the point at which somebody has a nuke, you should know who their fucking commander is. If it's possible to put pressure on that player so that they are not able to do the thing that they want to do, like, that's what one of those, the best defense is a good offense.
Shots
situations. If you
it's a big if sometimes, but yeah,
big if. And is it risky? Sure. I mean, there is 100% a risk that you're taking there in, like, let's say, your heavy goes off to try to keep the commander down. Well, depending upon what's happening attack wise into your resupply, that may not be so fantastic. But it also may prevent, it also may prevent a devastating nuke. So,
true.
Yeah.
Camping
medic. It's Traj's comment. To be honest, scatter brings visions of random movement with no comms. Leave via multiple paths is more appropriate. Okay,
yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, you want to say it like a fucking nerd.
Scatter, and then I just
leave via multiple paths.
Yeah.
Oh, tally ho.
Maybe it is just the word scatter that I don't like. It's not quite as bad as freak out, but it's up there. It's up there with that.
How do you feel about it versus moist?
I don't mind the word moist. Moist is... I'm fine with moist. Damp, I have more of an issue with.
Good to know.
Damp is worse than moist. Yeah.
It does seem... That seems like objectively it should be worse. You're right.
Yeah.
And yet, I don't know.
It's
the
not.
Human brain is fascinating.
I like moist. Moist
Head
cake.
bring the tea, old boy. Thank you, Dredge.
What other things would you say to defend against a nuke or whatever.
Yeah, I apparently will make sure I don't use the S word in response to the proper strategy against a nuke. But
Steve.
yeah, basically what I indicated in that I didn't think that Trad was being facetious there is that yeah, your goal essentially is not to become trapped. Their goal, if the enemy goal in nuking is basically to flush you out of one position into something that's more advantageous for them, well, the counter to that is make it less advantageous for them. If they can't concentrate all of their eyes and all of their phasers on one area, and they suddenly have to start diverting their attention, that's going to give you a much better chance to recover. Now, again, that assumes that you have enough lives to do that, which is something that I would also tell newer players and even some experienced players that maybe stay a little bit more capped up on lives, especially if the game is going on a little bit longer and the enemy hasn't nuked yet. Guess what? You're going to get hit with probably 3 or 4 nukes in a row. Don't you think it would be a better idea to be ready for that so that you're not on 1 or 2 lives when they are done dropping that? Like, stay capped up a little bit more. Is it more annoying to come back when you already have a ton of lives? Sure. But it's better than being in a situation where you're just going to get completely dumpstered once they drop their 3 chain. If your only alternatives are, well, we need to drop before they drop because otherwise we're going to get fucked. Like, why? Why not set yourself up in a situation? So I guess defending against the nuke really is more of a proactive thing, that it's just you have to know, like, if they haven't nuked 6 or 7 minutes into the game, yeah, you're going to have multiple nukes that are coming in, and you need to be more mindful of where your life count is than in the first 60 seconds where, yeah, you need to be on guard against that early nuke, but, you know, you can push the envelope a little bit more.
Yeah. I concur. That's a good point.
And I mean, I would say especially for heavies because they have a lower life cap, but honestly, like a lot for scouts too, because every 3 hit and honestly every resupply will tell you the worst thing possible is when you get completely clustered and your scouts are just camping your resup and they're asking for resup constantly, versus if the scouts are in a better position and they're able to kind of guard your flanks so that your heavy and or your commander can get a couple of resupplies after that devastating nuke chain, now you're okay. Now you can recover and you can kind of prevent it from moving from mid game to end game because they're not just mopping you up.
Yeah.
Look at
You
us
know what,
being all
Stephen?
like
That is the right
educational
call, and I'm proud that you made it.
Look at us being all educational and shit.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Suck it, Luke.
Yeah.
No, just jokes.
It's just random opinions from 3 old men.
Yeah. The old being the operative word.
Old, yeah. That's at this point, yeah. You all qualify. That's entirely accurate. Y'all, yep. No, y'all fucking qualify.
Y'all qualify.
Qualify.
I thought you moved out of Texas.
Y'all qualify. God damn it! And I can't fucking talk.
I'm gonna go get it.
Titch raised a good point. If you can really pull off the full inception and get the enemy resupply to resupply their commander when they're nuking, that's really the ultimate. So you got to find a way to trick the enemy resupply into tagging their own 3 hits.
Trick
Where's
them
Russ?
with mirrors. That's the best way to trick someone, with mirrors. At smoke. I'm gonna go get a wheat bag because this old guy is in a bunch of pain.
Fucked.
But
Yeah.
that was a thoroughly entertaining and also informative discussion around nukes. Do you wanna say anything to kind of cap it off?
No, I know you were being genuine, and it's just because you're in pain. You sounded like very bored saying that. Like, I know Steve's just in pain right now.
No,
I know he
it's just because I'm from New Zealand.
Wow, that was informative and entertaining.
This is just how we sound down here. We're not taking the piss.
bro.
We're genuinely interested in what you're saying.
And no, I don't have anything to cap off. So the answer to our big question of the day: when should you nuke? As always, it depends.
Oh. Yeah, it depends is the answer for all of your questions. So just always bear that in mind. Every day when you have a question, just think the answer is always it depends. Gentlemen, thank you very much for the discussions. Always fucking love talking with you guys, even though I was this close to ditching you guys to go play disc golf.
Thank you for playing through the pain.
Definitely my pleasure. This week, we'll be hopefully finishing off the bloody Lego Bowser build. On Lego
Nice.
Wednesdays. Thursday, if you're interested, if you're out there and you're like, I love hanging out with people on the internet, well, I'd like to do it more often. Well, on Thursday, we are playing, we're going to do a community home for the game Chivalry 2, which is currently on Xbox Game Pass for PC. We're going to try and set up a big old group session. So if you want to come play, more than welcome to. I'll put some details about it in the Discord. You should always nuke in the starting area pre-game. Should always nuke under the covers in bed. And then and then we should be back hopefully next week for another Resupply podcast, assuming that I don't ditch you guys to do something else, or vice versa. But
Or in hospital. Any of these things.
yeah, all are very likely. I am actually potentially due to fly to Brisbane within the next couple of weeks. So if I end up doing that, that'll probably throw a spanner in the works for shows. We'll also figure out probably this week or next week what the Christmas / New Year's schedule looks like, because I believe both of those things are on weekends.
Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve are on Saturdays.
Yeah.
So, not Christmas Day and New Year's Day, but the evening festivities may interfere with that.
That's right. Yeah, I'll be far too. No, actually, never mind. I'm not going to make that joke. It's irresponsible. But we'll put a schedule up after we figure out what we're all doing and stuff over that time. But we'll try and keep a little bit of content rolling in over those couple of weeks, however that looks.
A very little bit.
Yeah, very little bit. Then you got any streams coming up?
Well, I'm pretty much not. I don't think I'm gonna stream until I get my new computer, because mine has been so fucky, and so much of my content has turned into me just like ranting at my computer that it's not really entertaining. So
it can be fun up to a point.
Up to a point, but it's definitely past that point. So I'm. Yeah, new computer's supposed to be here by next Thursday, so I can pretty much guarantee, like, whatever day I get this new computer, I'll be streaming with it, because yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, we'll see you next Thursday.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Well, look. For this week, I've been Guy Nixor.
I've been DK.
And I've been Than.
Always remember to backtrack, kids. We will see you soon. Probably next week. Ka kite anō.
Scatter!
I've been throwing daggers in the night. I've been chasing all the stars, stealing all their lights. The cut so sharp, cut so deep. If they seem to hit their target, it must be what we reap. 'Cause you don't know what I know. You don't feel the way I feel. All these places I wanna go makes me wonder if my looks could kill. I've been throwing daggers in my dreams. If they seem to hit target. It's harder than it seems. 'Cause you don't know what I know. And you don't feel the way I feel. In all these places I wanna go. Makes me wonder if my looks could kill. I'm a well-known stranger, walking my own path. Gave up all my mysteries just to get a laugh. You keep me hanging on so tight. Sometimes I just have to wonder, do you know wrong from right? 'Cause you don't know what I know. But you don't feel the way I feel. In all these places I wanna go.